Hello, you guys, and welcome to a new episode of the Fat Loss and Food Freedom podcast. Today's episode is a very special one as I am joined by my client Ida, who will openly share her story with us. Ida used to be stuck in a cycle of restrictive dieting and overeating, and she faced a lot of challenges with emotional eating, self-doubt, food guilt, and much more. She struggled to follow through and stick to something long term, which led to yo yo dieting and a lack of belief in herself and her ability to change. By now, Ida has not only managed to transform her body, more importantly, she has undergone a profound mental transformation, and she has proven to herself that she truly can achieve her goals in a sustainable and fun way. I hope that you will find this episode inspiring and motivating, and if listening to this you feel like you are ready for a change too and would want to explore the possibilities of working together, then just send me a DM on Instagram or send me an email and I will reach out with more information. Now, let's dive in.
We're starting here with Ida flexing her big biceps.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Well, wasn't that an introduction?
Really, yeah.
Well, welcome everybody to this new podcast episode. I have a very special guest with me today. I have my amazing client, Ida.
Hi.
Hello. And Ida is here to discuss her very transformative journey with us and share her experience and how everything's been for her since we started working together.
Yeah.
And we started working together in September 2023. So that's already, what is that, almost 9 months or something like that? So yeah, September 2023, that's when we started. And just to give everybody who's listening a little bit of a background story on how this journey has been. So we started with approximately 3 months of a phase where we were basically just laying our foundation and establishing some groundwork. You could almost say that we were course correcting a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
And during these 3 months, the focus was really on creating new habits and improving the quality of food that you were eating, establishing just a new eating routine, but also working through things like this mindset of good or bad food, breaking and getting rid of some food rules, working through challenges with emotional eating, working through challenges around self-doubt and body image, and just overall mindset work, actually. So laying the foundation and groundwork for these new habits that we were introducing, and yeah, just making peace with food. And like I said, getting rid of a lot of food rules that you had from your past. And then after these 3 months, when we both felt that you were ready for it, we started a very intentional fat loss phase.
Yeah.
And this phase lasted for 11 weeks. And during those 11 weeks, you successfully lost around 5 kilos. And it was a very, very, I would say, educative phase as well. You learned a lot of things in this phase too. It was definitely not just centered around fat loss. There were so many things also mindset related that came into play during that phase. So it's a really interesting phase as well.
Yeah.
And then after those 11 weeks, we transitioned out of that fat loss phase and entered a muscle building phase. And that is where we are right now. We are still in that phase where we also intentionally are putting on a little bit of weight, and our main focus is just to build muscle right now. So that's a bit from start to where we are
Mm.
right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, many different phases. We've gone through a lot of different things. There are so many things that we have worked on. And your physique has really transformed tremendously from when we started.
Mm.
And you've had some really great results. But those physical results are not necessarily what we are here to talk about today. Even though they are amazing and you should be so proud of them, there are so many other things
Yeah.
that are maybe even more amazing.
Mm.
And this is progress that we don't really see from the outside, but there has really been such a transformative journey from the inside out.
Yeah.
And yeah, today we just want to share that, in my opinion, real story, which is related to all these really huge mindset shifts that has taken place since we started together in 2023.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
with that said, I would love to hear from you a little bit about your background story, your history with dieting, history with yourself and food, and where all this started. And yeah,
Mm.
maybe I'm opening up the floor. Take it
Yeah.
away.
Okay. Well, I can just start with when we started when I reached out to you in September last year. It felt like I was standing at a crossroad because I had been over the years have been working with myself and with my body image, and to just feel good about myself in my body, but I always felt like something was missing, because I could have really bad days, and especially since I have PMDD, and I also felt that like my relationship to food was not a healthy one. So I have been like many people, I have been eating very restrictive, and then after a while, I've been starting to overeat, and then I've been feeling a lot of shame and guilt, and just repeating that cycle for many years. And even though that I have always tried to treat myself with you know with love and trying to love myself as I am, I have always been stuck with this bad relationship to food. And it started when I was around 6 years old. And that's when I started to compare myself to others. And I always felt like I was the big girl. Not necessarily, because I have seen pictures of me when I was younger, and I wasn't obese, but I felt like a big girl. And my environment or people around me had commented on my body when I was really young. So it started, when I was like 6 years old with, comparing myself in the shower when we had gymnastics. And I developed a really, I thought that food was either good or bad. So good food was vegetables, protein, or like eating in very small portions. And bad food was everything that was like sugar, sweet, something with lots of fat, and so on. So at an early age, I started to, recognize what was, or I tried to, recognize that I made it up, this is good, this is bad, this is, this will make me fat, this will make me stay in shape, or, be more like everybody else. And it definitely got worse when I was when I got into puberty, and you go through all of those years with, I had really low self-esteem. I wasn't really confident, and I was really shy. When people meet me today, they're like, how could you have been shy? And I was like, I was really, really shy. I didn't, dare to talk to people that I didn't know. But then when I was, and contradicted to all of this, I was very active. I played soccer. I had a horse, so horseback riding was a big part of my life. I also had basketball and I tried every sport. So I was really active and I put on a lot of muscle early. So I always been the strong girl. But that didn't always, it wasn't really, I wasn't, people called me like a tomboy. And I felt really out of place, and I didn't really like my body because it felt so different from everybody else's. So I really developed a bad relationship to food, and I had a bad body image during those years. And when I was around 20 years old, that's when I started to, okay, this is not who I don't want to feel this way. I want to be able to like myself the way I am. I want to be able to love myself and look myself in the mirror and think that I am pretty, and that I am a person that can be liked, and no matter how I look. So my body image journey of healing my own body image and gaining more confidence in myself started when I was around 20. And that journey have been that journey, because that's a separate one, that one has gone quite well. But I have always felt like something is missing. And the thing that I haven't been able to heal is my relationship to food. And so last year in September, I was really feeling like, okay, it's either I change now, I will be stuck like this forever. So I really felt like I have to do something about it. And that was when I reached out to you, because I know that you have this amazing coaching with the food freedom and healing, your relationship to food. So that was how it began. Because I think I texted you and I was like, I want to be able to eat food without feeling guilt or shame. I want to be able to live my life freely and, just enjoy this body of mine. So that's how it started. So it started with me being, because I didn't have low like self-esteem in September. I felt confident, but I still felt like I'm just 80% healed. There's still like 20% more that needs to, and those 20% are really important because they impact my life so much. Because I want to be able to go out to dinner and eat good food with my friends and not feel like I have to go to the gym and I have to work out really hard. And I always felt like, why isn't it working for me? Why is it working for everybody else? Why can everybody else just, eat food and feel good? Because I couldn't eat food and feel good, because I always felt like, it was just bad, honestly. So that's how it started, and that's the basics of how it began.
Yeah. And it's so interesting, but also very sad to hear that this started so early for you. And I think that it very often does. And yeah, so you've really spent a big portion of your year trying to fix this by yourself, which you indeed managed to do to a certain extent, but then felt like there was more in you that needed to heal. And I also think it's I want to touch on what you're saying as well, that you were looking at others thinking, why is it not working for me? Why is it working for everybody else? Or why is everybody else able to have this uncomplicated relationship to food and I can't? But I think we tend to think that so often, that people around us have a very, very uncomplicated relationship to food and that they can eat without guilt or shame. But so it's more often not that way.
Yeah.
And of course, we never know what's going on within somebody else. But I think it's so common that we think everybody else have it together and nobody else is struggling. But more people than you think share these struggles that you have faced. And I think that's also why it's so powerful and very nice that you are here today and sharing your story, because I think a lot of people can relate. 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
and just to know, because we've had discussions before, and just because I was like, because I was 6 years old, I remember it so well when I started to, have this bad relationship to food and myself, and to just, so when I see like these young girls when they are like, 4, 5, 6, and people joke about, how they look in any way, it just makes me so frustrated, because, and people are like, well, they will not remember it, and I'm like, they will remember it, because it, they understand that something is, wrong with them, or something is different, and they don't, fit in whatever, mold or image that people have of them. So yeah, so I think that's yeah, that's a really, so I'm really like I'm a strong supporter of women, and when it comes to body image and confidence, and all about protecting your own boundaries, of what is okay and not okay to say or do to you, to yourself. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. And so you came to me, you found
Yeah.
me in 2023.
Mm.
And so what was different about the way that you used to do it yourself? Because you say that you managed to heal your relationship with food to a certain extent. But then I also know that what has been a challenge for you as well is following through, and falling back into old patterns and
Yeah.
old habits. And that's also a reason why you decided to reach out for additional support. And what do you think is the biggest difference in the approach that you had by yourself, and then once you got to get support from me, and actually kind of discovered a different way, I
Yeah.
think, because I tend to do things a little bit unconventional, maybe. And what has been something that has made it possible for you to actually follow through this time and not fall back into old habits, but also take that healing of yours to maybe the next level, so to speak?
Yep. I believe that, first of all, you taught me that, you asked me these really good questions when we began. You're like, okay, but why are you doing this? Why do you want to have coaching with me? And I strongly felt that I want to show up for myself. I want to be able to follow through, and I want to be able to trust myself, and trust that I can make healthy decisions, and that I can just push through when it gets hard. But yeah, definitely, that I just really wanted this change, and to make it something long term, because when I was trying to do it by myself, I think that we all have this critical voice in our head that just tells us that just gives us, that shames us, or guilt trip out us, or makes us feel that we're that we're unworthy, or that we're bad, and so on. And my voice has been quite loud. So even as I said before, so when I was trying before to control the food intake and so on, it was not from a place of self-love. It was from a place of more self-loathing, or like that, I wouldn't say hate, but it was definitely not from a place of love. It was more like something I had to do. And with that mindset, it's really hard to keep something going, because you will not get rid of that voice that tells you that, oh, why you shouldn't have eaten this piece of chocolate, because now you will gain weight, or now you will feel fat, or now you will so that was definitely what I was struggling with before. And when we started together, you really gave me tools to helped me change how I thought about food and how I viewed food. So basically, you were telling me, I remember it so clear because you said, okay, because I know that I told you that, well, that I viewed food as good or bad. And you were like, okay, but what is good or bad? Because when it comes down to it, it's nutrition, it's protein, it's fat, it's carbs, it's sugar, it's, everything. So it's the same no matter what kind of shape it comes in. Then then you have like fast carbs and you have slow carbs and so on. So that's when I started to, really think about food, like, okay, so this chocolate isn't bad, but if I eat like a whole chocolate cake every day, it will not have a good effect on my body. But if I eat a small piece every day, it will probably make me feel better, and I will get some nice fat in, and also the enjoyment of it. So I think that your approach was really, it made me start to reflect about how I view food. And also you made me start thinking about, okay, but how does it feel when I eat food? And you also told me to eat until I'm 80% full. And that requires that you have to pause and you have to start to listen to your body. Because I didn't listen to my body before. I was truly abusing it because I could eat a lot, so that I was overeating, or I could eat too little, so I was basically starving myself. So I was really not listening to my body. I was just listening to my mind. So you, in this, especially in the beginning, we really had to break down these thought patterns that I had about food and how I easily shame myself when I ate a certain kind of things. And as you said, we also looked at what I ate. So I had to, do a journal. And that also helped me because you're like, okay, but you're eating a little bit less than you should of some things. You're eating a little less protein than you should, and you're eating a little less carbs. And that was also because then I had to change the way I ate, and also feel, I had to, because that's when I was also, I also had to trust you, because I also had to be like, okay, but she's telling me to do this, to change some of my eating habits, and I have to eat more of a certain kind of food. And we also, experimented a lot of what I like and so on. And that was truly the beginning for me to, start to think about food in a different way than just like good or bad. And also you were a good support in the beginning because I could text you. I remember I texted you and I was like, oh, I ate too much today. It feels like, I feel really bad about it. It feels like I failed and so on. And you were so quick to respond, and you were like, it's just one day, Ida. It's just one day. It's not the end of the world. And we all do it sometimes. As long as, tomorrow is a new day, just, keep on going. Just, try to remember to pause, try to feel the food when you eat, try to, slow down and just enjoy the meal until you feel full. And that was truly helpful, because I was not in a position where I could myself tell me those things. I was definitely not in a mindset where I could be, I couldn't support myself. So I really needed someone to tell me that, okay, but that's fine. You don't have to feel guilt about it, because what is a chocolate piece a day? What is an extra chocolate piece if you eat it one day? It's nothing. It will not do anything to you. So that was how it started for me to make a slight shift in my mindset about food, and about how it made me feel when I ate it.
Yeah, and I mean, as you say, and as the listeners probably can tell, there are so many things there to unpack, and there is not one thing that has led to this shift, because you're mentioning now so many great insights and so many great things. from improving the quality of the food, from increasing certain macronutrients, looking at the quality of the food, looking at, are you really eating enough? Are you eating the things that you like? Do you know what it feels like to be full? Getting in tune with your hunger and fullness levels. And it's really an inside out approach. And you're also talking about mindfulness a lot, which is so extremely important and really where it all starts. And asking yourself these deeper questions about your behavior and why you do certain things or why you eat certain things, how what you eat makes you feel, indeed, so important. And I think also what you're mentioning is, how can I use food to support myself? To support my well-being, to make me feel the best that I can, to help me perform in the gym and outside of the gym, of course, as well. So so many great insights and takeaways there. And what also comes to my mind when we talk about this is, because it's a bit connected to, getting to know your hunger and fullness levels and also understanding why you eat and why you eat in the quantities that you do, because I know that you also very much in the beginning had an urge to eat more than what your body wanted. And you said something very beautiful. You said, I was listening more to my mind than my body. And that's something that happens very much when there is a disconnect between what your mind wants and what your body really wants or needs. That often results in also wanting to eat more or eating more than what feels good. So I think that you had a little bit of that urge to wanting to eat more just for the sake of eating, and if something was really tasty, for example. And I think slowing down has, of course, been one of the key reasons or key changes there to make you able to listen more to the body than the mind, I would say.
Definitely.
But maybe there's something else from your side that you want to say about that urge that you've had, because that's also something I think a lot of people can relate to, wanting to eat more than what actually feels good to you.
I think that when I grew up, we also had not all the time, but it always felt like you were fighting for food. And sorry, I have two brothers, and I remember, feeling like if I don't, grab all the food that's on the table, I will not get any. And it wasn't that we didn't have food, or it wasn't that it wasn't, but the feeling of you had to kind of fight for it. Because I think that we have all been like big eaters in a way. So definitely I have that with me, even because I recognize that I got that feeling a couple of years ago when I was eating out with a couple of friends, and we had, a shared meal. We had like tapas, and I was like, oh my God, because I felt the urge to, I have to eat quickly so I can taste everything. So that has been with me for a long time to eat really fast and to and when you eat fast, you don't listen. You just, you shove it in, and to feel like if I don't hurry, I will not get enough. So and it's so strange because I didn't go hungry when I was young, but it's just like this basic feeling of, if you don't hurry, you will be left out. And sometimes it was this urge to, because it's so good, you just want to eat and eat and eat and eat because it's so good. And then you start then you stop listening. And when the body is telling you, but it's enough now, I don't want anymore. And you're like, but it's so good and we got to eat everything on the plate. So I truly had that kind of overeating. I never had, I wouldn't say that I have been binge eating or like eating, and feeling like I will puke, but definitely overeating and feeling like really stuffed. And, when you get sleepy after a meal, that's definitely been a part of my life from time to time. And also the restrictive, restricting myself after such a huge meal. I would be like, okay, you can't eat anything for like a long time or just small portions. But yeah, so I really had that urge to overeat.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, of course, landing again in that cycle that
Yeah.
you spoke about before. So overeating and leading to restricting the next
Yeah.
day or compensating in different ways, which again just leads you to repeat that cycle. But it's very interesting what you're saying about your childhood and having, brothers and having feeling that you need to hurry up because otherwise to get your peace, basically. Because what that does is that it creates a scarcity mindset around food, that there is never enough.
Exactly.
So I think that has also contributed to that urge. You're explaining it yourself, the need to eat fast and to eat it all right now, because there might not be any more later on.
Yeah.
And that also fuels restriction, because if we think it's now or never, so I better eat it all right now because I don't know when I will get it again. And that's the same thing as, when you, for example, restrict certain food groups, or let's say that chocolate is a forbidden food that you're trying to stay away from. And then once you actually allow yourself to have it, because you cannot withhold or you cannot uphold those restrictions anymore, and you tell yourself, okay, I'm just going to have this one piece of chocolate now.
Yeah.
But then one piece turns into two, and then two pieces turns into the whole bar.
Yeah.
And off you go into that spiral, because you think it's now or never. So it's all or nothing.
Yeah, definitely.
Can you relate? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, that's exactly how it was. And I would like to mention that because I was really active during my younger years, and I didn't really because so I could eat a lot when I was young, but when I was like in I think it was 8th grade in Swedish 8th grade. How old are you then? You're like 14, maybe 15, 14, yeah. And that's when I had to decide to quit some of my sports, but because I couldn't do like 3 sports at a time. So that's when my activity level also decreased, but I still ate as much as if I had been doing 3 sports like 6 times a week. And I didn't understand back then. Nobody told me, or nobody helped me with it, that if you don't move as much, you can't eat as much. So that also made me gain weight for like, and I, when you're 14, 15 and you gain weight, that's not a nice experience. And I think that's when the true struggle with food started, because that was also when I had periods of times where I actually starved myself. So I have always, because I remember like going for power walks for like half an hour before school, and just eating small pieces of food and so on. So I have really had both the overeating but also the need, the urge to starve myself. I didn't get anorectic, but I was pretty close when I was younger. So I really had bad cycles of bad relationships with food in different ways.
Yeah, you've been on both ends of the spectrum, I think, and yo-yo dieted quite a bit, and gaining and losing weight over and over.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I want to cycle back a little bit to the the urgency
Yeah.
with food, and that desire to eat more, and feeling like there won't be enough, because I know that that's something that you've learned to manage very well now. You know, managing portion sizes, and not finishing what's on your plate if you've had enough, for example. Or, I recall this very specific situation when you were in Gothenburg with your friend.
Yeah.
And you sent me this photo of, I think it was a Swedish chocolate ball, or some type of chocolate dessert. And you sent me a photo, and you were so proud because, one, you had shared it with your friend, and two, you hadn't finished it. So this was a really, really big, that was a turning point, or one of those breakthrough moments that we both, celebrated a lot together.
We did. We did.
Yeah, I know you can remember this moment. Any thoughts around that, and how that is for you now? Not necessarily around that specific moment, but just how that feels right now that you are able to do that, and any other thoughts around it.
Well, that was truly a huge moment for me when I realized that I wanted to share my fika, because that wouldn't have happened before. I would have ate everything by myself, and also that I didn't finish it because it made me feel in control in a good way, and it made me, because I really took my time enjoying this fika, and I took my time, feeling, okay, how is my body responding? What is it telling me? And when I felt like, okay, but this is enough, because it was really good, but after a while, it didn't taste as well. And I wouldn't have recognized that before. And I just remember me feeling like, oh, but this is good. I don't have to eat everything. And it's fine. And it's okay. And I didn't feel shame or guilt for leaving anything. I didn't feel like, oh, but I paid for it, so I have to eat it. And that is, and that's how it is today, I would say, because today I try to eat slowly, and to just enjoy the meal, and to just let it, I look at it as it fuels my body, and my body will tell me when it's enough. So I really try to listen in when I eat today, and I can eat. It feels like I can eat anything without feeling guilt or shame, because I also know that it's just calories. And if I manage my meals in a good way, I could eat, almost anything, and it wouldn't make me feel bad about it. And I know that it's also, for me, it's also like it's fuel, it's energy for the body, so the body feels good, so I can go and work out and use that to gain more muscle, and get stronger. So it's definitely, it was a great shift. And to just be able to eat without feeling restricted is such a freedom. And to eat without feeling guilt or shame, which I have, felt almost all my life, is such a big difference, because now I can enjoy food, and I can enjoy moments with friends without feeling that I have to go and work out to, burn it off. Now it's more, I go to work out and to use the energy because I want to get stronger.
Yeah, I think, eating for the body to indeed like perform well and just show up well in your life, as we mentioned before, but also allowing yourself to eat for the soul, and eat for, eat in those moments that are so important to you, like those moments with your friends. And I think what is one very key aspect there is what you're also mentioning, that you have given yourself that permission to allow all foods, that nothing is off limits. And again, that is also something that really contributes to an abundance mindset when it comes to food, rather than that scarcity. So that also fuels, I don't have to eat it all now, and I have a choice. Because with unconditional permission, you also have a choice.
Mm.
You have a choice whether you want to eat something right now, whether you want to eat it in an hour, whether
Yeah.
you want to eat it tomorrow or next week. And just because you eat it today, it doesn't mean that you can't have it tomorrow. So, for example, when we then zoom back or go back to that fika that you had with your friend in Gothenburg, you knew that that was not your only time to have such a sweet treat. It was not now or never. It was now because you wanted it then and there, because it was a moment that was a hell yes moment to
Yeah.
you. And you enjoyed what felt good and you left the rest. And that was it.
Yeah. And that was
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, truly the as you said, to be able to just eat, to just know that you can have this sweet, or this cookie or whatever it is today or tomorrow, and to not feel like I have to eat everything because I will not get it any other day. When I let go of that, over, that I need to eat everything, I will not get it. When that was, when I was able to let go of those thoughts, that's when I was starting to find a more peaceful approach to food.
Yeah.
And to
And
be
there's
able,
something else that I also really like that you have done, and that is related to maybe the mindset you had, which is connected to all this of deserving food.
yeah, 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 yeah,
And I think you
definitely.
have really handled that very, very beautifully. So maybe you want to say something regarding how that mindset has changed, because you used to in the past um, treating yourself to food when you felt that you had done something good or you deserved it or there was something to celebrate. What are your thoughts around that right now?
Yeah, before I could truly eat because I was happy, or because especially for like celebration was always around food. And even in my family, it was like when we gathered, it was around dinners, and it was celebration time, and then you ate. So I truly had that, you know it was imprinted in me to, food is when you're happy, not so much when you're sad, but more like when you feel good, you should eat when you feel good, which is really weird anyway. But I started to, instead of, thinking that I deserve to eat food because I'm happy, or I deserve to eat this piece of chocolate, I was more starting to, okay, I am feeling good now, I'm feeling happy. I deserve to still feel happy. I deserve to treat myself to spa. I deserve to read a book. I deserve to, take a walk. I deserve to celebrate it with friends. So I started to exchange, the food part, other things that made me feel good. Since I have had that overeating tendency, I wanted to exchange it with something else that was more healthy. And because if I were supposed to eat whenever I was, feeling good, I would eat all the time, which I didn't for. So it was all about finding something to replace food with, because I also knew that, okay, if I eat food now because I feel a certain way, will I feel as good afterwards? Will it make me feel better? Will I feel like, if the answer is yes, then I could eat. But if the answer is, okay, no, I will not feel good because I might have been overeating, or I might have been, treating myself in a way that is not healthy for me, or, not a good, it doesn't come from a place of taking care of myself. So that's when I got that down, it was easier to, okay, I deserve to feel good in my own body. And if that's what I deserve to do things that, helps with that goal, or that purpose. So So it was just about exchanging I deserve to eat to I deserve to take care of myself in the best way, or I deserve to, go and do my nails instead. So yeah, so I don't really have that. I wouldn't say that I think those thoughts right now that, that I deserve to eat food, or, I think that has been actually replaced with other things. It's more like, oh, I deserve to, just be me without, any restraints or any
Yeah.
restrictions. Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, because like you say, I think the challenge with that mindset initially was that eating really did not
Yeah.
make you feel good.
No.
And I like that what you say, if it was the case that
Yeah.
eating would make you feel good in that moment and eating would support your goals and your why in that very moment, of course you could go for it. Of course
Yeah.
you could eat, not necessarily overeat on it, because then again you don't feel good. But we have also spoken a lot about emotional eating and how emotional eating really is not all bad, that it can be super healing and nourishing if you do it right.
Yeah.
And also, if it's not your only tool to deal with emotions, because that is also what you're describing. You have expanded your toolbox of tools that you can implement when you feel a certain way. So then we come back to, having more choices. And if eating is your only choice that you have, the only tool that you have when you cope with emotions, then you also don't have a choice. It will always be eating. And it probably will not be done all the time in ways that support your well-being and your health. But if you have a whole toolbox of different coping mechanisms that also do support your health, you can pick and choose, and you can see, depending on the day, what you need in that moment. And yeah, I love what you say about having reframed the I deserve it mindset into I deserve to feel my best. I deserve to take care of myself in whatever way that might be then.
And I would just like to mention that this change to when I can say that I deserve, if I feel like I deserve to eat this because it will make me feel good, that took quite some time. I could not use that phrase in the beginning because I would overeat, because I was not in a place where in the beginning I couldn't really make that healthy choice. I couldn't really stop myself, because I had this, because we talked about this before, that sometimes it feels like you have this other person inside of you that's the overeating person, the person who just want to, eat and eat and eat and eat, or the person or the voice. So in the beginning, I was not able to do that choice. It took quite some time to be able to, to just one day be able to, okay, I will eat this piece of chocolate and I know that that will be enough, and I know that I will feel good when I eat it. So I just wanted to for the listeners, that it doesn't come, overnight. It takes a long time, and it took months. So it's not something that I just could do. So it was really a long process.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And you also need to let it take that time, of course, because you have spent so many years in this restrict overeating cycle and learning all these food rules and it's learned behaviors. So to unlearn it, which is very much possible, but it takes time, of course. Yeah. And, with that said, also, your process has not been just a smooth ride. You have definitely had moments where you did still overeat on the chocolate, for example. You still did, despite trying really hard to implement these tools and pausing and checking in with your body and all that, you still had times when you ate more than what felt good and you were not able to listen to your body.
Mm.
And that's okay. And that's also a part of the process.
Mm.
But
Mm.
how did you deal with that? How did you deal with when that happened, when you still overate and when you still maybe ate more chocolate than what felt good, for example?
Yeah, definitely. In the beginning, I would have reached out to you, and maybe not, at once, but I always reached out to you after maybe thinking about it, or reflecting. And because we also, when I went into this, I was very committed to, I will make this happen, and we also talked about being honest with each other, and that it was important that I was being honest with you. So in those moments in the beginning when that happened, I always reached out to you and told you that, okay, this happened. I'm feeling like shit, because I did. And I feel I'm ashamed of myself. I feel bad. It doesn't feel good. It's not a good feeling. And we would talk about it, and you would, and that's when your coaching comes in, because that's when you're like, okay, so why did you overeat if you're not feeling good about it? And you really have to dig deep into these questions, and you really have to do your homework, because you really have to open up and start reflecting about, okay, why am I overeating? Where does it come from? Why do I overeat when I know I will not feel good about it? So when I finally got a grasp on the why, it was easier to, okay, understand, okay, so this is why I'm doing it. And then we go to, okay, how can we change it? What can I replace it with? How do I not let it happen again? Or how do I, make peace with myself? Because it's also a lot about forgiving yourself. It's a lot about forgiving yourself, to not feel, to not let the shame and guilt consume you, because shame and guilt will not, it will not bring you any positive feelings, or it will not make the journey easier. So when I started to be able to forgive myself, and in the beginning it was thanks to you, because I couldn't really do it myself. You had to, tell me that it's okay, it's fine, you overate. You didn't shame me, you didn't guilt trip me, and you were not like, why did you do it? You're so stupid. You were more like, okay, so you overate today. How did it make you feel? And I'm like, I feel like shit. Okay. So, and why? And I was like, well, and so that's how it began, with me forgiving myself for overeating, for not, following the plan I had for the day. And when that forgiveness really came from myself, that's also when I could change my thoughts to more like, when I felt like eating more, when that voice, because it was a voice in my head, was like, oh, but you can eat a little bit more. You're not really full. You're like 82%. You could go more. Then I would be like, okay, so now I'm doing it again. Why will this make me feel better if I overeat? No, it will not. This is the voice that I don't like, that is telling me to eat. What can I do instead? And then I was okay. I can drink some more water. I can take away all the food, and I can go for a walk. I can take a chewing gum. I can do something else that's not related to food. And that took willpower, because you have to be, because sometimes it's mind versus mind, or it's body versus mind. It's not mind over body, it's body over mind. And when I started to be able to realize that I had these, that I had to conquer my own thoughts. I had to be, I had to be on the body side and not the mind side, because my mind was telling me to eat, but my body was telling me to stop. So I had to, shift side.
And the mind will always want more.
Yeah, definitely. It will eat me, especially like sugar and sweet things. It will always want to eat more. But it started with, being able to forgive myself, because otherwise I would have felt bad the whole day, and the next day, and the day after that, and it would feel, it would just follow me. And I think that's what happened in the past when I was trying to do this by myself, that I wasn't able to forgive myself. So, and when you can't forgive yourself for for a small mistake, for something that's not at the end of the world. It will eat you up, and you will feel like you're bad and you can't do it and you're worthless, and it's no point in continuing because you can't do it. So I think the first, big step was when I was when I truly could, forgive myself for overeating. And when that started to take place, the voice inside my head also slowly became much more, it became a whisper in time.
Yes. Yeah, very beautiful. And again, so many pieces there. Understanding your triggers is one. So really pausing and understanding what is going on right now with me. What has triggered me to wanting to eat now more than what actually feels good and more than what I actually truly want? Are there specific situations, people, thoughts of mine, or what are my triggers? And indeed, only by understanding why can we work on changing that pattern. And then I also really love how you're talking about forgiving yourself. Self-forgiveness, self-care, self-compassion, having self-compassion for yourself, knowing mistakes are human, and especially being on a journey like this, where you are learning so many new things and you're trying to reprogram your being into something completely different than what you are used to for so many years. Self-compassion plays a critical role.
Definitely.
Because self-criticism and beating yourself up is the worst motivator for change. It does not work.
No, it doesn't
work. We cannot just rely on, I need to try harder. I need to be stricter. I need to do better. We really need to have understanding for ourselves and look at this journey with curiosity, which is, what you're mentioning, trying to deep dive and understanding the why around your current behaviors. Yeah. So self-compassion and self-care has been a really important part of this journey too. Because there has been also a lot of self-doubt across this whole journey too.
Yeah. Oh, yes, definitely. I know that there were times when I couldn't really see, because since from the beginning, I contacted you, to just, help me with my relationship to food, but we also got into the training part and, with the workouts and so on, which have been really, really fun. But I also had times that I didn't feel like I couldn't see the results. I didn't feel stronger. I just felt like it doesn't matter how much I try, nothing is happening. And I could not, and I know that you said to me, like, you just have to trust the process, you just have to keep on going. And it was really hard because I also had this, I want to succeed. I want to be the best. I want to be the good girl. And at those moments, I really had to put my faith in you, because you were trusted, you were like, trust the process. I was like, okay, this is what she's telling me. I will just have to have faith that you know what you're doing, because I don't know what I'm doing. So I will just have to, I really put everything, on you at that point. Because I felt like I just have to, bow my head down and weather the storm, just push through it, because she's telling me that there will be a light at the end of the tunnel, and that, change will come, both, with your mindset, but also with the physical changes that I wanted. And that's a true learning experience, because when you finally get through, when you finally, get to the end of the tunnel and you start to see results, that's when you start to believe in the process. Because when you haven't really followed through with such a thing before, which I haven't, you don't trust it, because you don't believe that you don't believe it for you. You can see that other people are making progress and they are, fulfilling, their goal and so on, but you don't trust that you're able to, because you haven't been able to before. So not until I got through that, because it was quite some time that I felt like nothing is happening. But when I finally got through it, that's when I was like, oh, so this is what it's like to trust the process. This is what it's like to, to just keep on going when it's tough. This is how it's like to, push through a hard time when you don't feel like anything is happening. Um, so that was a huge learning experience for me, and I wouldn't have made it, if I didn't have you, if I couldn't have, because I had to trust you, I had to put my faith in you, and it was also like, I also had to remind myself why I was doing this and for who I was doing it, because I was doing it for myself, and I had promised myself that you will show up for yourself no matter what. You might not be able to trust yourself right now, or you might be able to believe in the process, but you can always believe in your coach, because I know that you had been through a lot of journeys by yourself. So I was like, you just have to do it. You just have to keep on going. And finally, when I started to see results, I was like, as I said, okay, so this is how it feels. This is what you have to be able to push through, to be able to, trust the process.
Yeah, and what a satisfaction that must have been for you to actually finally experience that feeling of having pushed through, because that
Yeah.
was such an important part of your why as well, showing up for yourself and following through. Follow
Yeah.
through is really like the word here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and indeed, you have to go through a process in order to trust it. It's easy for me to say trust the process, but yeah, then you indeed just kind of have to have faith in me, indeed,
Yeah.
in the plan that we together set up, of course. But that dip that you experienced, because it is really a dip, it's what I call the dip, is that that lack of motivation at some point. You might be very motivated starting out, and then we all end up in a dip where motivation is far gone, and we indeed, like you in your case, didn't see the progress that you were expecting, because you also wanted to see results really fast, just like majority of people. But results take time, and of course also, since we had that phase in the beginning where it wasn't focused on physical result, it was focused on laying the foundation, so everything took its time. And when you end up in such a dip, that is usually indeed where people give up, and where they fall back into old patterns. But if you just indeed follow through and you have faith, of course, considering you need to have the right plan for you, because you need to follow the right plan, otherwise you're not going to get where you want to go either. But when you then indeed start to see those results and you start to reap the fruit of your labor, and that is so rewarding. And and following through and being there for yourself, having your own back, creates that trust and confidence in yourself that you were maybe lacking before.
Yeah, definitely. And when I experienced these hard times, because they were mentally very straining, one of the things that I did on days because you didn't feel like going to the gym, you didn't feel like doing anything, I honestly wanted to give up at some point, and I was like, nothing is happening, and you start to get these thoughts again that, everybody else can do it, but I can't, it's just not meant for me. But I always, came back to my why, and my why was, because I want to show up for myself. I want to be able to feel that I can do it. I am not a quitter on myself. I will follow through because I have decided, committed to, I will follow through. And because motivation comes and goes, and my motivation at that time was zero, but my why kept me going. So I do believe that you need to have a strong why or sense of, you have to remind yourself of why you're doing it. Why do you want to heal your relationship to food? Why do you want to work out and change your physique? And if you have I do believe that if you have a healthy why, you have a good coach, then you will be able to make it. But you have to, you have to have a strong conviction in, following through in yourself, even when it's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And this, brings me to another question regarding your why, because of course, we found this why together through another deep dive and, really asking yourself the critical questions. But can you recall what your why maybe was in the past when was there a difference between your why to change in the past, when you tried doing it by yourself or when you were stuck in that restrictive cycle? Was your why back then different than what it was this time?
Oh yeah, definitely. But back then it was more like, in the beginning, I wanted to change because I wanted to, I wanted to look as good as everybody else, because I thought that if I just get skinny, everybody will like me, or I will like myself. And I also had the why was, sometimes it was like, oh, I'm gonna show them off, so that wasn't a good why. It wasn't a healthy why, because the why was not, about doing it for myself. It was doing it for everybody else, which honestly nobody else cares about it. So it was much more. I was much more focused uh, on the environment and the people around me, and doing it for somebody else than myself. So that's definitely a big change to how it is today, or how it was. Yeah. And I think that if I had contacted you for earlier, I would not have had, because I do believe that my why really settled in me last year, because I had a really big year of lots of changes in myself mentally, and I really had these deep thoughts about, what do I want my future to look like? How do I want to feel about myself? And I had a lot of, thoughts about, well, life in general, but also, evolving around myself. And I think that when you find a strong, healthy why that really, settles in you, because for me, it's like it's settled in my bones. I feel it with every, fiber of my being, that I'm doing this for myself, not for anybody else, not because I want somebody to love me, or not because I want somebody to look at my body and go like, wow, she's so hot, it's not from anything of that. It comes from me wanting to feel comfortable in my own skin, to feel comfortable in my own body, and to feel strong and powerful, and to feel sexy, and to just feel good and happy, and especially comfortable, and definitely comfortable, and no matter what size I am, because I can be comfortable. I am my biggest now probably, and I am very comfortable, but I was also comfortable when I had lost those 5 kilos, and that is the big win for me, to be able to enjoy this body in its different kind of shapes, to not just feel like it's just one shape that will make me feel good, to feel like, well, it's all of it. Yeah. So my mind, so my why back then was not a healthy one. It was, it was definitely not, and that's why I didn't, I wasn't able to follow through, because it was a too weak. It was not, it didn't come from myself.
No, it was external.
Yeah, external. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was definitely not from a place of love. It was,
No.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that ties in a lot or very nicely to, maybe the body image challenges that you've had, because of course we talked about it a bit in the beginning, and that your body image was rather good anyway. It's been pretty solid since we started. But I think that you've, because you also mentioned in the beginning, you struggle with PMDD, and during those moments, it's very hard. It's a lot harder to deal with negative thoughts around yourself and body image too, because you struggle with a lot of water retention and bloating, and to the point that your body actually hurts. And of course, you don't only experience a bad body image day during those times, because we are all human. They come and go as well, and they are a part of the human experience. But how do you deal with maybe not feeling so comfortable in your body? How have you been able to, what we always say, be comfortable being uncomfortable, regarding body image, and making sure that you indeed feel comfortable at every size or in every shape?
Well, since I had PMDD for quite some time, for quite some years, but I think that I have always, since I started, working on this, body image, I always encourage getting dressed in clothes that feel good on your body. And no matter, because when I have at my worst, when I get bloated and I have these episodes of, before my period, I have clothes that are like one size up. I have dresses, I have pants, I have shirts, because I gain a lot of, I get really bloated and I gain a lot of water. So for me, it's all about, first of all, putting on clothes that make me feel comfortable, or, make me feel less uncomfortable. And for me, it's also about, sometimes I dress up, I put on some makeup, I make myself, I do my hair, and sometimes that's not what I want to do. I just want to, I don't do makeup. I just put on like something big that's really, that it's just comfortable. And that's what I do, with the practical things. Just, okay, what can I do that makes so that my body feels a bit better in this uncomfortable state that we are in now. But then with my mind, I feed myself with thoughts like, this too shall pass. This is an episode. We have been through this before. It will not last forever. And when it ends, you will feel the shift, because I usually get quite, I call it a high, because I get from being so low and almost depressed, not all the time, not every time, but sometimes I can feel really depressed and I just want to, I just want to sleep. I just want to, hide under a rock and never come out again. And when you come out of it, when my period starts, and like 2 days after, it's like somebody pushes a button and I go from this to like up here somewhere. And I know it, that this switch will come. So I have to tell myself that, okay, this is time when it's hard. This is time when you might not like what you see in the mirror. You might not enjoy the bloating, because my skin hurts. You might not enjoy it, but you can endure it, because it will last. It will not last. It will stop. It will end. So really do tell me these things when I have a bad day, and I treat myself much more. I am gentle with myself. I try to think gentle thoughts like, okay, today my body needs more rest, maybe because I have days when, I really feel that I can't go to the gym. Even if I want to go to the gym, it's better to just go home and sleep. And I allow myself these, I allow myself to actually also rest and just be by myself, or be like, go for slow walks, go for some yoga, really, slow down, because at that point it feels, when my body is at its worst, it feels like I have this inflammation. I am really bloated, everything hurts. I'm really, really, really tired. And sometimes I can push through and still go to the gym, because sometimes movement really makes me feel good and I can still, work out. But I have these days when it's just like, okay, but today we will just take a slow walk in the sun, and I will then go back to, I will go sleep. And I will just put on something that feels nice. But it's truly about being able to, because I can look myself in the mirror, and because I don't, because this is also something we have discussed, because you shouldn't talk to yourself in a certain way. You should always try to stay positive, and you always, feed yourself with positive thoughts. And at these times, it's really hard. But I would never look at myself in the mirror and say that, God, I'm so fat. Oh my God, I'm so bloated. Because I did that in the past. But today it's more like, okay, today I am uncomfortable. And I'm going to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. What can I do today to make me feel a little less uncomfortable? And that's different for everyone. But as I said, I will dress, in clothes that maybe are a size up. So it's okay for, my stomach can be bloated and still feel fine. I will put on some good music when I start the day, to just listen to some happy music, not sad songs. Happy music, definitely, because so just something that cheers me up, that puts me, and I do it straight away when I wake up. It's like happy music, put on some nice clothes that feel good, that doesn't, create more tension. And that's just how I go through it. And and if I have a really bad day, I will just go home and, sleep. I will still eat the same food, because I know that in the beginning I didn't feel like eating, because you feel so bloated and you feel so heavy, because the body feels so heavy, so you don't want to eat. But I still like, okay, but even if I feel this way, I still have to eat, because my body still needs this energy, and I still need to drink water. Even if I'm full of it, I still need to do all these things to take care of it, because it will feel so much better when this period of time is done, when it's over. So during those times, it's so important for me to, with self-care. And it could be, all of those things that I mentioned, but also it could be like taking time to go to the spa, or, go for a massage. Anything that's, for me, it's about soothing my body at those times. It's about soothing and being gentle, not pushing through so much. Um, so I think
Yeah.
that's and I think I was quite good before, but all of this process that we have, that I have been going through, has made it so much easier. So even if I have really bad PMDD periods, where, the body is really, like, just a couple of weeks ago, I got fever, and, I was really, really bad. But my mind wasn't, because I have been, there was a time when I had to take antidepressive, just to be able to cope with, myself during that time, because I just wanted to, not end it, but it was quite close, because I didn't want to, wake up and live through another day. So I had to take pills. But now I never get that quite low. I can get low, so I get like tired and unsocial, and I can feel that, okay, but this is a time for, just, soothing yourself. This is time for just taking care of yourself. I can still go to work. I can still be a happy person. I do have mood swings, but it's not as severe, because I feel that my mind is always now working with positive affirmations and positive, thoughts all the time, instead of being like, oh, you feel like shit, you want to go, I don't do that anymore. It's more like, okay, you're uncomfortable, what can we do? and it's okay. This will, it's just another day. We just keep on going. In a couple of days it will be over.
Yeah, I think detaching is
Yeah,
what you're
yeah.
describing. So
Zooming out.
detaching, zooming out.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm.
zooming out is something we talk a lot about. That what we've also mentioned, we call it body flexibility or body image flexibility,
Oh yeah.
where you can still feel all those things around your body or not feel great, but you can still choose to take care of yourself regardless. And this also proves how far you've come, with the right intention. So wanting to support your body, you're working with yourself rather than against yourself when it comes to both just how you take care of your physical body, but also, this also relates to the relationship to food and relationship to exercise, being able to give your body what it needs. So you're one with your body,
Yeah.
and your body's taking care of you to the best of its abilities, and you're taking care of it back. So it's this very beautiful relationship that is just in harmony. And so would you say that, right now sitting here, you have befriended your body and your food and your mind, and
Yeah.
just maybe looking back at who you were, and maybe even before we started together, and the woman that is sitting here, in front of me today, what would you want to say to her?
Wow. Well, I think that she has made quite the journey. And I would say that she is indeed a powerful being in herself, and that she is definitely able to follow through. And looking back to when it all began, I have definitely created a mindset that is it's about protecting oneself also. It's about, standing up for yourself and to make also like healthy choices and healthy boundaries to both to yourself, but also to people around you. So I do feel like this woman that sits here, she's very confident. She's very, I feel very like calm, stable, because my life has really been a roller coaster, especially when it comes to, mentally. So I feel so much more calm, and I feel so much more secure in myself and my ability to both like push through when it's, because sometimes it's mind over body. Sometimes when you go to the gym, you don't do it because you feel like it. You do it because this is what I have, told myself to do. And sometimes, like when I have my PMDD, it's body over mind, because I know that I could, at this point, I could have a really, really bad day, but my mind could still push myself to go to the gym. So, but me today can switch to, okay, but now it's body over mind. The body is telling me that I need to rest. I will not feel any better by going on a really hard, exercise or workout. And that is also a big change because both of those mindsets comes from a place of love and a place of where the goal is to like take care of myself, where the goal is, or the purpose is to make myself feel as good as possible. So it always comes back to the why. So the woman I am today is much more trusting in myself and in my own capability, and in my own that I will make choices that are good for me, not for anybody else, but they are good for me. So that, it's been a true life-changing journey in so many ways. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And would you say that you right now feel confident that, the life you're living today, the way that you are eating today, the way that you are training today, the way that, that you are doing things today, is something that you will be able to keep up for life and no longer fall back into those old habits? Do you feel like
Yeah.
you've created a solid base
Yeah.
to stand on? Yeah.
It feels so, yeah, it feels so good. It feels, yeah, definitely. Because when it's, because it feels like it, to go through something like this, to change your mindset, it takes quite some time, but it feels like when it's settled, when you really feel that you have it in your bones, because it does really feel like it's such a big part of me right now. So going back to something that was bad for me or unhealthy, it's not a choice anymore. It's not an option, because it's gone. It doesn't exist. Because all of these, because I have, we have exchanged all the negative thoughts with, these good, healthy thoughts, and positive thoughts that make me, yeah, no, I wouldn't, this, it just feels like it's such a good feeling to be able to feel this good or feel so comfortable in oneself, so you don't want to go back. You don't want to go back. And it's not because you're afraid of gaining weight or because you're afraid of, eating something or not. It's about, I feel so good even on my bad days, because I know that I myself got my own back, because I will make sure that this body and this mind feel as good as possible in those moments, even in those moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the way that you are living your life right now, when it comes to all these aspects, they align so well with your goals and with your why and your values, which is, yeah, also super important.
Yeah, definitely. And
Yeah.
and I do enjoy it as well. I enjoy working out. I've always enjoyed working out, but
Mm.
this time around it's on another level, because it's also a new experience to work out, to actually try and change your physical appearance, because I haven't really done that before in this kind of way. And I think it's so exciting. I think it's so much fun. And also I enjoy all of my meals, because I eat food that I enjoy, that I feel is tasty, but they are also, nutritious. So I just embrace all of it. Because it's, and even, because, yeah, I say that I love it, I enjoy it. I have days when I don't, I hate working out,
Of
but
course.
afterwards you always feel good after a good workout, no matter what. So but in general, I'm just so excited, to see where this leads, to see where it takes me, because I also love to challenge myself in different ways, and this is definitely a challenge, both for body and mind. So that is also a true motivation for me.
For sure.
Mm,
Yeah. Nice. And I think that so many people can relate to your story and the challenges that you have had. And I really hope that for the listeners, it's clear that despite, you have been super successful, you've had a great transformation, physical and mindset, mental, but it has not been a straight line, and
no.
there has been tons of challenges to work
Yeah.
through. And, I really hope that everybody listening that can relate to those challenges that we have spoken about today, that the takeaway is that it's possible, and
Yeah.
it's possible to make a change, that you are 100% capable of reaching your goals, and that with the right methods and with the right support, the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
And yeah, you really can do it. You just have to believe in yourself, or let me believe in you until
Yeah.
you believe in yourself.
Exactly. Yeah. Because that's when I was struggling, I had to believe in you, that
Mm.
because you believed in me. So I was like, I gotta believe in you then, because
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
yeah, that's so important to have that kind of support, or at least it was for me.
yeah.
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 That's
And
why.
to these people that can find themselves in your journey and that also want to make a change but might not have that trust in themselves, what would you want to tell them, just as to wrap up a little bit and to give them a final piece of wisdom?
Oh wow. Such a big question.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
me.
yeah. Well, because I know that, I said this before, when you can't, trust yourself, you have to find somebody that you can find trust in, or, trust the process, I would say. Um, but for me, it's all about remembering why you are embarking on this journey. Why do you want to change? Because if your why is big enough, if it's if it's settled in your bone, and you know that, oh, but this is truly what I want, because I want to, whatever it could be, if you want to feel good, or yeah, then you can do it, because when it gets hard, that's what you lean on. And if you do it for yourself, then I don't think there's anyone holding you back then. Even if you can't trust yourself, like I did, I couldn't trust myself. And even if you can't really see the results or the process, or you don't believe in yourself, get a coach that you can have faith in, that you can rely on, and that can hold your hand when it gets rough, so that you can so that you can just focus on keeping on going, so that you find, because finally you will reach the end of the tunnel. No matter how long or hard or dark it is, you will reach the end of the tunnel, and that's when you will be able to finally believe in yourself, and that's when the true change will happen with your mind. So you have to dig deep and find your why, and you have to dig really deep, and and also to be open for it, to embrace it, and to be honest, to yourself, and to definitely just embrace it, and to go for it. Yeah, and don't, because we always hesitate, and I did too, but I was so determined to make it this time. I was so determined to make this change, because I wanted a better life for me. So I think that when you find that, you can go, you can do anything, but you have to dig deep.
Anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything you set your mind to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
100%.
Mm.
And, I've said it before, but you should be so proud of yourself and how you have handled, all the challenges that come your way, and how you continue to do that, and how you continue to challenge yourself, and how you continue to be open with me and allowing me to be this person for you. And it's been such a transformative journey that we've done together. And I really want to thank you for being here today and sharing this with everybody. I think that we can wrap this up here because you have shared so many great things. And yeah, I really hope that everybody listening to this takes this to heart and finds it as inspiring as I find it, because it's truly incredible. And I'm thankful for having been a part of this journey
Yeah,
with
thank
you.
you. Yeah, thank you for having me, and thank you for thank you for being a coach, because you do it. Yeah, you do it really well. Yeah,
Well, we are a good
definitely.
team. We're a
Yeah,
good team, aren't
very
we?
good team.
Yeah. Nice. Well, then I'm going to stop the recording here and call it a day. Yeah, I would also maybe encourage people that if they have questions about your journey, to reach out to either me or to you as well,
Yeah,
perhaps.
definitely.
I will put your contact details or your Instagram profile, if you don't mind, in
Yeah,
the
no.
description of
There you can
this.
see the struggles.
Yeah, exactly. In the description of this episode. And yeah, then we will stay in touch.
Yes, we
So
will.
bye.
Okay.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.
If you made it this far, I hope this episode gave you some great insights that you can implement on your own journey. And above all, I hope that you get a confidence boost and that you realize that you can too. With the right methods, motivation, mindset, and the right support, nothing is impossible. Thank you for listening and see you in the next one.